Good day, YouTubers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. Look at my shipping crates. Now, this is one that matches the instructions. And for the most part, I guess, these corners aren't like the instructions, but you put them together like the real crate builder would have put them together. Doesn't look like the picture in the plans, but it's really close, so I can't fret about things like that because building them is hard enough, let alone maintaining that quality. So I come up with some other ideas, and one was just take some blocks of wood and cut them up and create a crate just by putting these framing boards around the outside. And that pretty much is almost identical. The size is different, but the idea is the same. So I have some other ideas that will fill in some places in the hall there. Well, we'll be putting these in the hall and making it look like they're hauling some freight. So the assembly required by the plans is using these strips that are glued together on the edge and then cutting them to create these pieces for the side wall and the bottom and all that. That assembly is very tedious and cumbersome when you go to put them together and when you go putting these framing boards on them. So I am going to show what putting the framing boards on are like and how I've found the best way to do it is. So realizing that the boards are going to overlap each other on the corners, and you got to be pretty precise with your cuts, otherwise when the butt of the cut gets in the way of the next board on the other side, you're going to run into problems. So using them nippers to cut it, test it, and then clean the edge up on the sandpaper. Get what you like as far as the fit goes. This glue, the Tight Bond, works really good. I'm going to sand that face there a little bit so I don't have something sticking up. But this glue works pretty good because by the time I get this on there, And turn around and do the other side. It's set up enough where I can do the one that goes in between them after I get the other side done. Flip it around. You can see I'm using these blocks of metal to sort of hold it in place. While I do these cut and glue operations. I got that piece of red sandpaper over on the table there, and that makes it quick and easy to touch this in. So you can see that side of the crate there, it's got a little bow coming out in the middle, and that's gonna make the board not sit flat on there. So without messing up the one I just glued on there, I'm going to sand that flat, get a better fit. Yep. Hardest thing about this is getting that board in the exact position you want. It sticks on there pretty good, that glue, and it's over to the left too much. Yeah, see that? Excuse me. So that's pretty good. Now we can do the ends. So for those that are wondering about the prostate, I think tomorrow I'm going for a pre-op with my cardiologist, and they're just gonna say whether or not I should be taking Aliquis and all that mess before the surgery, which is on the 20th of this month. just right. While they can't all go on that easy, these little blocks of steel help steady that thing so it doesn't scoot around while I'm working on it. Just got to have enough room for my fingers to get in there. I want my cuts to be as precise as possible and productive as possible. In other words, don't spend a whole lot of time just making one little micro cut. You don't want it to be aggravating. So they're going to do a transurethral urology, no, TURP surgery, transurethral. I can't remember what the U stands for. We're going to scrape out the inside of the prostate and make it so I can urinate easier. I'm still wearing the Foley bag. So now with that, let's see, we want it like this. Now with that top or bottom framework done around there, and do these corners. And as you can see, if I'm real careful how I hold the piece to make the cut, I won't move the ones I just glued on there. I can get my cuts made and keep moving forward without having to wait for glue to dry every time you turn around. My nippers want to be turned so that the cut is away from the face of the end of the piece. And I know I'm going to be short, so I'm going to move it out a little bit. And then sand it to fit. Yep, see, that's way tight. So I need to sand like a millimeter off of that rough cut in. That should be plenty. And as opposed to putting it up on the top, the seam between the top and the side is down here on the side. So I'm going to put the framing board, or logically you would place it in real life if you were framing this box, to join those two pieces together at the corner would be here instead of on the top. And then scrape that extra glue off. Make sure you're in the right spot. If you get glue on your tweezers, you got to clean that off too, because then your tweezers will stick to your piece and it won't let go when you try to let go. So that's the way we frame these boxes. One piece at a time. Very carefully going around. Checking the fit before you glue it. See how it moved when I touched it? So after these crates, there's some piles of lumber that'll get baled up. And there's some, probably, I don't know if they had burlap back in these old times. I think this is from the 1600s. The build time of the ship. The most feared ship of the Spanish Armada were the galleons. So this is a cutaway sectional view of a galleon, which they were small and fast, and that's why they're so feared and effective. They made their appearance in the middle of the XV1, so that's 1051. That's 16th century. Yeah, that's what I thought. And were preeminent among the warships for 150 years. The San Francisco was one of the most brilliant galleons of the age. Must have sunk a lot of other ships, eh? So there's some bags to make. I guess they would haul rice or flour or something like that in them for provisions while they're sailing. And they would have made out of some kind of cloth. Now, whether that cloth was burlap or cotton or animal skin or whatever at the time. It's one of the unique things about building these ships is you get to learn a little history of our world. You know, the Spanish We're known for exploring South America and the West Indies and places like that. Searching for gold. If you look on my channel homepage, I've got some playlists that are under the wooden model ship category, which are not my videos. My videos are a different category in the playlist. But under the wooden model ship category is hundreds of videos about ships all over the world and different models. So some of the videos on the playlist are related to history and movies and documentations, and then other videos are about models and model builders on YouTube and so on. But there's just tons and tons of content just in that one playlist that are related to ships of the golden age. I don't know if that was the golden age or not. So you gotta say somewhere along the way you're done. You can see how long that took just to do the framing on the box, let alone the box itself. And that's why I came up with the idea to just cut blocks of wood and put the framing on them like a crate would look. And that seems to be an okay idea. I'm actually going to cut a few more like this larger size, probably like this size right here, and not round over the edges. I'm just going to leave the edges crisp. I will, sand off any burrs that are from the cuts or whatever, but not round over the edges, because the rounded over edges take away from the squareness of the framing of the box before you put those members on the outside. And I think it would look better than the rounded over edges on these. This one here is okay, but it could look better if the edges weren't rounded over. So I'm going to do a couple like this size here, and then a couple more of this other smaller size here, and put the framing on them like this one. This one was the hardest one of all to do, and you can see why. It is so small. For the sake of having a crate of goods on your ship, it's really hard to work with because of the size. These sizes are pretty easy because your finger is bigger than, or the box is bigger than the end of your finger, so you can work these without too much problem. But these ones like this are really hard to work with. Getting the cuts good and the gluing the pieces on. So we got to make some stacks of lumber, which should be easy, and bail them up, and then make some sacks sacks of rice or flour. What else would they put in a sack? We've already made the hammocks. And we got all the barrels for rum and water. We got the buckets for the cannonballs. Those will all help fill up inside of there. The crates and the sacks are some of the last things I gotta create to help fill in the stuff inside the hull. When we built the Bounty, the HMS Bounty is made by the same model maker as all these ships here. I'm unscrewing the base from this camera. All these ships here are Artesian Latinas kits that you can buy. But the Bounty here, I just noticed I got a roll of tape that fell off the shelf up there. I hope it didn't damage anything. But if I can reach around the back of this, I've got a little battery box, back here. It's got some LED lights. Oh no. Does that mean the batteries are dead? Yeah, I'll have to check that. I don't see why they would have been dead. But this is a good example of the same process we're going through right now with these barrels and crates and stuff. I filled this thing up full of stuff. I got reels of rope and big drums and little drums and crates. I just went overboard, and there's some stacks of lumber. I added all kind of stuff to this that wasn't in the plans of the build, just to help give it some more realism. See up there, there's a bunch of plants. That's the breadfruit plants that they were getting from Tahiti to bring to back to the New World. There's the cook stove. So there's lots of stuff that were added to this model that wasn't in the plans to create that. Can't believe those batteries are dead, but they are. I'm going to have to take that little battery box and open it up and put some more batteries in there. That's why I mounted it on the outside, so you can get to it easily. That's that tape that fell off up yonder. I don't see any damage. I think it's okay. I got to get this thing in a case. It's the only one I built that I don't have in a case yet. I said I was going to do that when we got done with the San Juan, or the Cereal Royale. the royal sun, but we got sidetracked and distracted, and we just didn't do what we said we were going to do. So we do have to try to get this one in a case before it gets covered in dust or damaged from something falling on it. I got so much stuff in here, it's unbelievable. It's just everywhere. See, next week I'm building a trellis to go on the chain link fence to put a grapevine on. So that'll be something we add to the landscaping in the yard. Yeah, put down in your comments, does anybody's shed look like this one? I mean, this thing is just packed full of stuff. Yeah, I'm going to build a trellis to put over there. Probably over across from the treehouse on that fence. And a grapevine on it. That's got some good sun there. And we got an old pallet from somewhere. They were throwing it away, and I broke the pallet down and stripped all the boards off of it. I don't need these boards, but I do need those for the trellis part. And I've already got a base up above waiting to get drug out. It's way back there in the back. Let's go see the hens this morning. Just put some fresh sand in their sandbox yesterday. So here's the new, they're not baby chicks anymore. Another thing I did was I got some diatomaceous earth, cleaned out this pen on both sides, put some diatomaceous earth down, and then put some fresh hay down. No eggs yet. Miss Henny Penny? Gert? Gert wants to get out so bad she'll come right up here to the door. Henny Penny got out the other day, but all she wanted to do was get back in. Yeah, I see you looking at that opening. We'll give them some treats later on. Big Red. Almost got to mow the grass again. Summertime, you had to mow it every week. You might be able to get away with every 2 weeks, but it'll grow so fast. We haven't got rain in the last 2 days, but every other day before that we got lots of rain, so makes it grow crazy fast. So I'm gonna do some more boxes. Then we'll look about some piles of lumber and some sacks.